Imagine this. For 40 years, you have done exactly what you were supposed to do. You woke up early, you went to work, and you saved every extra dollar you could. Your entire adult life has been about accumulating wealth and building that nest egg. Then, retirement finally arrives. Suddenly, you are expected to flip a switch. You are supposed to stop saving and start spending the very money you spent decades protecting. It is terrifying, is it not? For so many of us, this massive life change triggers a real scarcity mindset. We become terrified of running out of money. Because of that fear, when it comes time to decide how to pay ourselves in retirement, we usually follow our gut instinct. And that instinct tells us to play it safe. I hear this exact plan from folks almost every single day. They tell me, I am going to claim my Social Security as early as possible at age 62. I will combine that with my monthly pension check to pay the bills, and my 401k, I am not going to touch it. I will leave that money locked away, safe and sound, for a rainy day. It sounds incredibly logical, right? It feels like the safest way to guarantee you will never go broke. I completely understand why you would feel that way. But here is the hard truth. Following that gut instinct is one of the biggest retirement mistakes you can make. In fact, doing it in that order is exactly what the IRS hopes you will do. Why? Because hoarding your 401k while claiming early Social Security is a massive trap. It guarantees you a much smaller lifetime income, and it sets you up for absolutely massive forced tax bills later in your retirement. You are accidentally volunteering to give a huge chunk of your hard-earned money right back to the government. To make sense of how to pay yourself in retirement, we need to stop thinking about complicated financial products. Wall Street loves to make things confusing with endless charts and technical terms, but we are going to keep it wonderfully simple today. Imagine you have 3 distinct buckets of money sitting on your kitchen table right in front of you. Each bucket holds your hard-earned cash, but the IRS treats the money inside each bucket very differently. Understanding the specific rules for these 3 buckets is the absolute key to keeping more of your own money. Let us look at bucket number 1. This is your pension. If you are lucky enough to have earned a traditional pension from your employer, think of it as your solid financial foundation. A pension is fantastic because it provides a guaranteed monthly check that you can count on. However, it is also very inflexible. Once you officially retire and tell your company to flip the switch, the money just starts flowing. You cannot speed it up or slow it down to manage your taxes. And here's the critical part you must remember about your pension bucket. Every single dollar that comes out of it is taxed by the IRS as ordinary income. There is no hiding it, and there are no special tax breaks. Whatever your regular tax bracket happens to be, that is exactly the rate you are paying on your pension money. Next, we have bucket number 2. This is your Social Security check. This is the flex bucket because you have total control over exactly when you decide to open it. The government allows you to start taking it as early as age 62. You can wait until your full retirement age, which for most folks retiring right now is somewhere around 66 or 67 years old. Or you can choose to delay it all the way up until age 70. Here is the absolute golden rule for bucket number 2. Every single year you wait to claim your Social Security past your full retirement age, your monthly benefit grows by a guaranteed 8%. Let me say that again because it is just that important. A guaranteed 8% return. There is not a single stock market investment, real estate deal, or savings account on Earth that can promise you a completely risk-free 8% return year after year. Waiting to open this bucket is an incredibly powerful tool for your long-term security. Finally, we arrive at bucket number 3. This is your traditional 401k, or your traditional IRA. For most of you watching right now, this is likely the biggest bucket of all. You have spent decades feeding it. But I want you to change how you look at it today. Do not look at it as pure wealth. Think of this bucket as a ticking tax clock. Why do I say that? Because the money sitting inside this third bucket has never been taxed. All those years you were working and putting a portion of your paycheck in, the government gave you a nice upfront tax break. The money grew and grew, completely tax-deferred. But the IRS certainly did not forget about you. You essentially hold a massive IOU with the United States government. They let you grow that money tax-free for decades, but eventually they absolutely demand their cut. And the IRS will not wait forever for you to pay up. They have strict rules about when you must start emptying this bucket, whether you want the money or not. Let us put all of this together and look at exactly how this backward mistake plays out in the real world. Imagine a typical hard-working retiree. For today, we will call him John. John decides to officially retire at age 62. Like many folks, he is absolutely terrified of running out of money. So he does what feels like the safest possible thing. He immediately turns on his company pension to get that reliable monthly cash flowing in. Next, he goes ahead and claims his Social Security right away at 62. He knows he is accepting a permanently reduced monthly check by claiming early, but he wants that money in his hand to feel secure. And his 401k? John decides he is not going to touch a single penny of it. He locks it securely away, treating it as his ultimate emergency fund, thinking he is perfectly preserving his wealth for his later years. For a whole decade, John feels pretty brilliant about his plan. He is living modestly off his pension and his early Social Security, and his 401k balance just keeps quietly growing larger and larger in the background. But then, John celebrates his 73rd birthday. This is the exact moment the trap he accidentally built for himself finally snaps shut. You see, the rules for retirement accounts recently changed under a new federal law called the Secure 2.0 Act. Under current United States tax law, when you turn 73, the IRS steps in and says, "Your time is officially up." They issue something called a required minimum distribution, which professionals often just call an RMD. In plain English, an RMD means the government absolutely forces you to start pulling a specific calculated amount of money out of your 401k every single year. And yes, you have to pay regular income taxes on every single dollar of it. It simply does not matter if you actually need that money to buy groceries or if you already have plenty of cash sitting in the bank. The IRS let you avoid taxes for decades, but at age 73, they are completely done waiting for their cut. Now, let us look at the absolute disaster John has created for himself by waiting. Remember, John completely ignored his 401k from age 62 all the way to age 73. That is 11 solid years of his investments growing and compounding without him taking a single withdrawal. Now, in the normal world, having your investments grow sounds like a wonderful thing, right? Well, it is not a wonderful thing to the IRS. Because John's account balance has grown so incredibly large over those 11 years, his forced required minimum distribution is going to be absolutely massive. Let us think about John's kitchen table again. He already has his pension bucket pouring out taxable income every single month. He has his Social Security bucket pouring out income. And now, at age 73, the government backs up a financial dump truck and unloads this massive, forced 401k withdrawal right on top of the pile. This creates what financial planners call the tax torpedo. All of a sudden, John's yearly income spikes completely through the roof. This massive stack of forced taxable income pushes him into a much, much higher tax bracket than he ever planned for in his retirement. But sadly, it gets even worse. Because his income is suddenly so artificially high, it triggers a hidden tax trap. Suddenly, up to 85% of his Social Security benefits become fully taxable. Think about how tragic that is. John lived carefully and frugally throughout his 60s. He accepted a smaller Social Security check and he hoarded his life savings, all because he wanted to feel safe and secure. And his reward for all that sacrifice is that he has to hand a massive chunk of his own money right back to the federal government. He completely lost control of his own taxes. And if you are sitting there watching this and thinking, well, I just will not take the money out, I will leave it in the account and ignore the IRS. Please do not ever do that. The IRS does not play games with these rules. If you miss an RMD or refuse to take it, the government hits you with a massive 25% excise tax penalty on the money you were supposed to withdraw, on top of the regular taxes you owe. It is one of the harshest penalties in the entire tax code. You cannot ignore this tax bomb. But as we are going to show you next, you can absolutely prevent it. Let us take a deep breath and completely flip the script. I am about to ask you to do something that might feel entirely wrong at first. It might even make your stomach drop just a little bit to hear it out loud. Spend your 401k money first. Yes, you heard that correctly. Instead of locking that money away like a precious treasure, deliberately spend it down early in your retirement. I know this goes against every instinct you have developed over the past 40 years of working and saving. But mathematically and practically, this counterintuitive strategy is the absolute smartest way to protect your wealth from the IRS. We call this the 401k bridge strategy, and it works in two very straightforward steps. Step 1 is to turn on your pension if you are fortunate enough to have one. When you retire at age 62, you go ahead and flip the switch on that guaranteed pension money. We use this as your reliable baseline income. This is the money that keeps the lights on, pays the property taxes, and covers the basic grocery bills. Knowing that pension check is hitting your bank account every single month gives you the peace of mind you need to execute the rest of this plan. It is your foundation. Step 2 is where we build the actual bridge. Between the day you retire at age 62 and the day you turn 70, you are going to intentionally draw down your 401k to pay for the rest of your lifestyle. You use this money to pay for your vacations, your hobbies, and the extra comforts you want in retirement. Think of these 8 years as a massive river you have to cross. Your 401k is the sturdy bridge that gets you safely from age 62 all the way to age 70 without you having to touch your Social Security bucket at all. Why go through the trouble of building this bridge? Because it gives you two absolutely massive financial benefits. Benefit A is all about letting your Social Security cook. By using your 401k to pay the bills in your 60s, you are buying your Social Security the time it needs to grow. Remember that golden rule we talked about earlier? Every single year you wait past your full retirement age, the government increases your monthly check by a guaranteed 8%. By waiting until age 70 to finally claim it, you are locking in the absolute highest possible monthly payment for the rest of your life. You are securing a massive, guaranteed, inflation-adjusted check that will never run out, no matter how long you live. That is pure peace of mind. But benefit B is where the real magic trick happens. This is how we defuse the tax bomb we talked about with poor John. By deliberately spending down your 401k during your 60s, you are actively draining that taxable bucket before the IRS gets involved. You are intentionally making the balance smaller. Why is that brilliant? Because when you finally hit age 73 and the government knocks on your door demanding those required minimum distributions, the pile of money they are calculating from is vastly smaller. You have completely taken the wind out of their sails. A smaller 401k balance means a drastically lower forced withdrawal. You have effectively eliminated the tax torpedo before it ever had a chance to launch. Let us talk about exactly how you pull this off through smart tax bracket management. When you retire in your early 60s and you have not claimed Social Security yet, your taxable income is naturally much lower. You are only showing your pension on your tax return. This means you have plenty of room in the lowest tax brackets. You get to play the game on your own terms. You can intentionally withdraw just enough from your 401k every year to fill up those cheap, low tax brackets without spilling over into the expensive ones. You control the dial. You decide exactly how much tax you want to pay each year. You are systematically moving money out of a heavily taxed environment and putting it right into your pocket at a massive discount. Contrast this with the backward strategy. If you wait until age 73, you have zero control. The IRS looks at your bloated 401k. They look at the life expectancy tables, and they tell you exactly how much you must withdraw, regardless of what it does to your tax bracket. They force you to stack it on top of your Social Security and your pension, pushing you into the highest possible tax rates. By using the bridge strategy, you are taking the steering wheel right out of the hands of the federal government. You are saying, "No thank you, IRS. I will pay my taxes now while the rates are on sale, rather than paying a premium when you force me to later." Let me be clear. Writing that first withdrawal check from your 401k is going to feel incredibly strange. You have spent your entire life putting money into that account, never taking it out. It might feel like you are doing something wrong. But remember that the money in that account was never fully yours to begin with. The government has always owned a percentage of it. By spending it down carefully during your 60s, you are simply paying off that debt on your own terms. You are being proactive instead of reactive. You are treating your retirement like a well-thought-out business strategy rather than just hoping for the best. Think about the incredible freedom this gives you later in life. When you reach your 70s and 80s, a time when many folks start slowing down and worrying about expensive medical bills or long-term care, you will be sitting in an incredibly strong position. Your 401k balance will be smaller, yes, but your guaranteed, completely reliable income will be at its absolute maximum. Your Social Security checks will be massive because you let them grow until age 70. Your pension will still be humming along, and your tax bill will be tiny because your forced withdrawals are completely under control. You will have transitioned your wealth from a vulnerable, heavily taxed bucket into a secure, guaranteed stream of income that protects you and your spouse for the rest of your days. Let us bring this entire concept to life by looking at two neighbors. We will call them Hoarder Harry and Strategic Sally. Both Harry and Sally are turning 62 this year, and they have the exact same financial setup. They both have a $500 401k, a monthly company pension of $2,000, and if they wait until their full retirement age, they would each get $2,500 a month from Social Security. They are financial twins on paper. First, let us look at Harry. Harry is absolutely terrified of running out of money. He wants to protect his nest egg at all costs. So, the moment he retires at age 62, he files for Social Security. Because he claims it as early as possible, his monthly check is permanently reduced to about $1,750 a month. Harry combines that with his pension and decides to live very modestly. He absolutely refuses to touch his 401k. He lets it sit there completely alone, growing year after year. Fast forward 11 years. Harry is now 73 years old. His 401k has been growing all this time, and it has ballooned up to nearly $900,000. Harry feels incredibly rich, right up until the IRS knocks on his door. Because of his massive account balance, his forced required minimum distribution is huge. The government forces him to withdraw over $30,000 that year and every year after that, whether he wants the cash or not. Suddenly, Harry is pushed into a much higher tax bracket. Worse, because his income just spiked, the IRS decides to tax 85% of his relatively small Social Security check. Harry hoarded his money to feel safe, and his reward is a giant permanent tax bill. Now, let us look at his neighbor, strategic Sally. Sally understands the tax trap, so she uses the 401k bridge strategy. When Sally retires at 62, she turns on her pension, but she completely ignores Social Security. Instead, she starts pulling money out of her 401k to pay her everyday bills. Because she has no Social Security income yet, she is in a very low tax bracket. She pays the taxes on her 401k withdrawals at a massive discount. For 8 solid years, Sally spends down her 401k. By the time she turns 70, her account balance is significantly smaller. But here is the magic. At age 70, Sally finally turns on her Social Security. Because she waited and let it grow by that guaranteed 8% every single year, her monthly check is not the measly $1,750 that Harry gets. Her check is well over $3,000 a month, guaranteed for the absolute rest of her life. When Sally turns 73, the IRS comes asking for her required minimum distributions too. But because she already spent down a large chunk of her 401k during her 60s, her forced withdrawal is tiny. It barely makes a ripple on her tax return. Look at the lifetime result. Harry has a smaller guaranteed monthly income, a massive future tax problem, and he lives in fear of outliving his savings. Strategic Sally, on the other hand, created a massive stream of guaranteed lifetime income. She paid her taxes when they were on sale in her 60s, and she completely disarmed the tax torpedo at age 73. Sally never has to worry about outliving her money because she let the tax rules work for her instead of against her. Now, let us have a very honest conversation. Personal finance is exactly that. It is deeply personal. The bridge strategy we just walked through is mathematically brilliant for protecting your wealth from the IRS. But it is not the perfect strategy for absolutely everyone. There are a few major exceptions where you should completely ignore the bridge strategy and take a different path. First and foremost, we have to talk about your health. The entire bridge strategy relies on delaying your Social Security until age 70 to get the maximum lifetime payout. But if you have serious health issues or family history of a shorter life expectancy, delaying simply does not make any sense. In that situation, you should absolutely claim your Social Security early to make sure you actually get to enjoy the money you paid into the system your entire working life. The second exception is the size of your nest egg. If your 401k balance is on the smaller side, it simply cannot act as an 8-year bridge. If you try to use it to pay all your bills from age 62 to age 70, you might drain the entire account completely dry. You always want to keep a comfortable financial cushion for unexpected emergencies, like a new roof or a surprise medical bill. If building the bridge means emptying your account entirely, it is not the right move for you. The third exception is for those of you who are still working. If you are in your late 60s and still bringing home a hefty paycheck from a good job, you are already sitting in a higher tax bracket. Pulling extra money out of your 401k on top of that salary would just create a massive, unnecessary tax bill right now. The bridge only works when your income is naturally low. Finally, if you are married, you have to think carefully about survivor benefits. When one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse gets to keep the larger of the two Social Security checks, and the smaller check disappears. If you are the higher earner in your marriage, delaying your Social Security until age 70 is not just about you. It is about permanently protecting your partner. By locking in that maximum monthly check, you guarantee they will have the highest possible income to rely on if you pass away first. It is one of the most loving financial decisions you can ever make. Always look at your own kitchen table before deciding which path to take. Let us do a quick wrap-up. When it comes time to start spending your hard-earned retirement money, please do not let fear dictate your choices. Instead, let the tax code be your guide. The bottom line is wonderfully simple. You want to spend down your heavily taxed buckets first, like your 401k. Why? So you can delay your guaranteed income buckets like your Social Security. Doing this keeps the IRS out of your pockets and maximizes your monthly checks for the rest of your life.